G'day guys, this is Tim from Tim's Adventures. This video is about the sizes and measurements for a pulsator, how to make a round pulsator. Guys, in my opinion, it's a better pulsator than the long ones, but anyhow, that's only my opinion. So without further ado, this is what this video is going to be. It's going to be a fairly lengthy one. Some of the stuff won't be included, but you should be able to calculate it and work it out for yourselves anyhow. But it's the basics basically. So okay, without further ado, here we go. Alright, this is now the first pulsator. This one I built nearly 13 years ago and still running. It was rough. I'm a first time builder, but I actually worked out pretty well. Now this is 600 wide. Okay, now with it being that wide, which is what I suggest as a minimum, okay, you have to find a tire that suits, so the inside has to be 600. If it's 605 or 610, make sure this one was a little bit bigger and I had to use 2 belts, right, 2 times, because what it did was kink the tire because the tire was a little bit bigger. And then I filled it with silicone, right, on the inside, on both, on the drum as well as on the tire, and squeezed it in 2 different types because of the silicone, because of the squeezing off together anyhow. All right, so that's basics. Stainless steel, this is actually good enough, and it was only 1.5 mil, I think this is, or 2 mil, 1.5. I can't tell actually, but this was pre-made, so there's you should be able to work it out there. Okay, I do recommend 3 mil. It's much better and thicker, and it will never rust away. My mistake was that I built everything else in steel. This part, the rest can be built out of steel. This is steel, right? But okay, now the size here is 100 mil in between, and it's also 100 mil high. Okay, now this one's a lot higher. What I should have done is lowered this lower, because it builds up a lot of rubbish here. Okay, and you have to sometimes get rid of it. So ideally this should be lower, at least 50 mil. This is only 35 mil. It should be at least 50 to 60 mil down lower. And the angle, at the moment, that's what the angle is. You can have a look. Okay, so it's roughly, yeah, that's about 150 on that edge to 35, which should be a little bit steeper than that. Okay, it has to be steeper than that, otherwise you're going to get the build up there. Okay, next thing is the actual drum length is about 450. That's the actual drum, which is plenty. Okay, now this design here of the legs is the best way to do it. On the other pulsator, I had to reinforce this area because it doesn't have that. As you'll see, it's different design. Now there again, okay, this is all just straps for extra strength, so it doesn't move around. That's all I did here. Okay, underneath is a big plate. Okay, there's the plate. Okay, it's got heaps of nuts and bolts. You don't have to have that many, but look, once you build it, you don't want to come back to it. Now the only mistake I made, I should have made this stainless steel and the inside one. This is 5 mil thick and the inside one is 5 mil thick. I should have put stainless. It should definitely be stainless, because now it's starting to scale, and which is not a great thing, but it's not so bad because I already cleaned it out by changing the mesh. Okay, now this one is 40 mil pipe. It's just the plumber's 45-degree angle, and that's where all your rubbish comes out. The pipe here, yeah, well, then you've got the plastic, and I've kinked it here is so less water comes out. That's all that kink is for. So, yeah, you don't want to put any of those tap style ones because they just clog up. Okay, now, offset is 12 millimeters. Okay, so she jumps up and down 12 mil, which is 24 mil. Okay, because it's double. Okay, the shaft is 25 mil thick here, and the bearings to suit. Now, ideally, what I should have done, so there's a bearing underneath here and 2 bearings here to hold it. Ideally, I should have put a bearing here as well. But this has been going for 13 years without any issues with this simple way of doing it. But the bearing would be, it's less noise, there's a huge difference. Okay, and that should be done properly. Okay, now the cogs, this is just a 1.1 kilowatt motor driving it without any issues. Originally I didn't know you're not allowed to have slack in the chains, and this is just the way I built it. This is a reduction box. It used to be a motor, but it's also a reduction box. So I don't remember what the cogs are. Yeah, what they are. But what I'll do, I'll switch it on for you guys, and that way you can see and time it for 1 minute, and you can work it out what it is. I think it's around the 150 beats a minute. I'm not 100% sure, so we'll switch it on and you guys can view it and work it out. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's enough. Now the other thing is I got a 21,000 litres per hour submersible water pump, which pumps it, okay, into here, and that works fine. That's enough water for this size. That's what you need as a minimum. If you go 14,000, you're not having enough water and you can't pump it out. Now this mesh that I put in, I don't recommend this at all. Right, I believe the best mesh is woven mesh, and it has to be, I think it's 1 millimeter woven. Okay, yeah, this is 3 millimeters nearly, or 2.5. Okay, this is not the one I recommend. And what you do, you deep dish it so that way it's concave like that inside, and you put a couple of bars across as you support, and you bend them as well to the same thing, and then you place it on there and silicone it, and it won't have any issues at all. Okay, so that's basically it. This leg system is the best system. This, as you'll see. That's the only things I would readjust, is to put a bearing there and actually increase the size. That chain is just too small. The next size up is, I don't know what sizes they are, but that's the way I would do it. I would make it the next size up chain, and of course same sort of system you can do. Now we'll go have a look at the dewaterer, which I had a steel one at the beginning. This is, oops, go this way. Now I rebuilt this one. I built a new one, and this one's total stainless steel. Okay, and it works brilliant. As you can see, this is super fine. Okay, it's not even a millimeter in between. It's like half a millimeter in between here, and that's what you use. By the time it reaches the bottom, there's no water. Well, very little. Okay, now the length, total length, is 850 millimeters. Alright guys, I'm over here at the second pulsator. Now, this design, I believe, is a better design than my one, because it's also adjustable. But anyhow, this is now being built with 3mm. This is 3mm stainless, right? And we used stainless steel underneath here. We doubled it up because just to make sure that it worked, was strong enough. Okay, which of course it is. And then we fitted well, let's have a look. That's 40mm. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I can't see properly. I think it's about 30mm, the spigot. Okay, straight down, and it goes into an elbow. Okay, so you don't have to have the curved one. This is good enough. Straight down, 30mm straight out. Okay, big strap here. Okay, tie it to suit. This one's got 2 inlets. Okay, one here and one over this side. This system also feeds water going down that way. Okay, to push the dirt down. Okay, that's just a different way of doing it. Personally, I don't like that idea at all. I would rather have the pulsator directly underneath. But in saying that, this plant is not high enough. By all rights, you should lift all this up to your height where you're comfortable at. Okay, which would be about that height. So the rest of the plant has to be built up a lot taller. Okay, now we'll go to this one, and that is 65mm. Okay, have a look. From outside to outside is 65mm. Okay, and this one, outside to outside, because I don't know how to measure these. Sorry guys, I'm not a professional at this. But this is your request. So that is roughly about 400, and I'd say 470 or 465. Yeah. Okay, which in turn, okay, we have 2 bearing holders. Again, this is 25mm. Yep, 25mm. Then we have one here on a bearing as well. I don't know what that's for. Oh, that's the offset. Okay. See, this is an offset. And you've got 2 bolts holding it. And you've got a slider inside. Okay. And you use that slider to adjust the size off your up and down. And that's what that is. Okay. And I'll show you this. And there's a bearing there. Okay. what size is this? 25 by 50. And I would say that's 2 mil thick. Okay, which is perfectly fine. So you can adjust that very simply, this one, and it's less noisy than my one. Anyhow, and that's it there. That's the way she is. Again, another bearing in there. Another bearing in there. Okay, and that just goes up and down. And over here, it's a bearing as well. So you can see that. Right, now, we'll give you some measurements of this one. Okay, now that's cut into this one over here, but you can see it's all rusted out. Doesn't matter. We'll have a look at the length. Okay, is 65, 865. Okay. Now this is a short pulsator. It's only 300, I think. 300 deep. Okay, I'll give you some measurements here. The legs, I think, might matter for this distance. Is 460. This distance is 390, but you guys can see that you got to chop off that. Okay, so these are 35 mil or 37 mil, old ones. Anyhow, okay. Overall length this way is 760. Okay, obviously that's in the center. What else? This one sits on top. I would have it standing up. Now, remember what I said? If you had the post, the steel down this way, you wouldn't have to have this bar across. Okay, I had to put this bar in because it was bending that. Okay, because there was no support for this drum. Okay, there's no support. There was absolutely no support last time. So you need to create legs on here to stop it from moving. That way you eliminate that bar, or you can put that bar in. It's up to yourself. But we can switch this one on, and that way you can see how many beats this one is. I think this one's a little bit different than my one, but we'll find out. We'll do the switch here. There it goes. And we'll go for a minute again, and you can see what it does. Okay, that's over a minute now. Okay, now I'll just show you underneath. You see that motion? Yeah, I think it's a lot better than the one I built. It's a lot smoother. Nothing can go wrong. That's it, and that's the key. So don't forget, these motors are 1240 revolutions per minute. Sorry guys. Anyhow, okay, I think I've covered basically the most of it. I mean, dewaterer again. I think it's just a rectangle box. That's it, basically, and being able to hold water. So it definitely has to be sealed. Again, it's 800 long. Oh, okay, you need the chute. This is what you need. Measurements of this. So it's 260 is the front. Okay, that's what you do need. And yeah, and the distance here, which is 300. Yeah, I remember this measurement, 300. So from there to there is 300, that bottom plate. And this one, oh yeah, we made this one 110, which is better. A little bit wider is better. And she is steep enough. So, and also, by the way, here, look, this is 30 mil. Now, ideally, I think is 35 mil square. And the Pulsator handles it without a problem. So it will push away, yeah, over 35 mil size rocks without any issues. I think I've covered about everything. Okay, I'll see this can actually, that moves. Yeah. Okay, that's about it. If you have any questions or anything else, don't hesitate, ask. But yeah, the reduction, to me, this is a way better than the chain. It just is. It's, yeah, less things to go wrong. Nothing's going to go wrong with this one at all. I just can't see it. And that's why I prefer this one than my one that I made. But that was my first time making, so anyhow. Alright guys, thanks. Alright guys, I forgot a couple measurements here. Okay. The bar underneath, which is this bar, total length is 905. Okay. That's the total length. Don't forget these brackets. Okay. We'll have a look at this. You can make them to whatever size you like, but anyhow, this one is 120 mil. Okay. Now, the legs going up on this side, total is 500. Okay, and the front is going to be, I think it's probably 325, I think. Yeah, it's been lifted off the floor. See, so that one's wrong, that's been cut. Right, so it's 320 mil. 320 mil. Okay, so that's been budgeted up a bit, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's what it is. Don't forget, you got a bearing there, bearing in there, and a bearing there, and of course a bearing here and two bearings there. Alright, I suggest, well, you can do whatever you like, but 20-25 mil is sufficient. You know, it will never break. And yeah, the big time miners, they actually have giant ones of these underneath, and they have 6 of them all next to each other and running the whole system. So yeah, they're obviously the way to go. That's the way I see it. So that's about it. Alright guys. Alright guys, I hope this helps you guys out that want to build a Pulsator. I know it's not a perfect video, and I'm no expert at telling it, but with all the measurements that I've given you, you should be able to work it out. And the amount of beats, I do recommend this second Pulsator is the better Pulsator, definitely. And that's the one. If I was to build again, I would build the second one, except I would build it higher, and with those couple little minor adjustments that holds the the actual drum itself. Everything should be stainless. The frame of the whole pulsator doesn't have to be stainless, but you can, and that way you don't have any issues. The internal bolts have to be stainless as well. And when you're drilling the two plates together, you put 2 bolts in, right? 2 bolts you put in. Right? First of all, you pre-drill all your bolts in a circle, all of them, right, for the both plates, and then you clamp it to your tire and you drill through the tire. Okay, make sure you drill through the tire, and you put your silicone on straight away, and then drill and bolt them up, and that's it. And squeeze it tight, and Bob's your uncle. Thanks very much, guys. Right, like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, and God bless you all. Thanks again. Bye for now.